Good afternoon, Namaskar. Welcome to the launch of Equity Calling, a book written by Dr. Shailendra Joshi, IAS retired former Chief Secretary, Government of Telangana. I am Harini Madira. I am founder of a company called Sesame for Arts, and I'm logged in from Dallas, Texas. Welcoming you all virtually this afternoon. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our distinguished guest for this afternoon. May I request all of you to put your hands together virtually for Her Excellency Governor of Telangana, Dr. Tamil Sai Soundarya-Rajan Garu. Shri K.T. Ramarao Garu, Honorable Minister, MA and UD Industries, ITNC, Government of Telangana. Shri Vikas Singh, author and economist. Dr. Krishnamurthy V. Subramanian, Chief Economic Advisor, Government of India. Shri Rajiv Kumar, IAS retired, Chairman Public Enterprises Selection Board, former Secretary, Finance and Financial Services, GOI. Dr. Rajesh Singh, Professor, Iowa State University, United States of America. Shri Rajshri Bhattacharya, IAS retired, former CK and Secretary, Education, GOI. Shri K. Padmanabhan, former CK and Secretary, Education, GOI. Shri K. Padmanabhaya, IAS retired, Chairman, Board of Governors, Administrative Staff, College, Hyderabad, former Union Home Secretary. Dr. Shailendra Joshi himself, the author of the book, and our publisher, Shri Pratap Chaudhary.
Sanjana, could you please read book excerpts, introduction part?
Is she online?
Yes, sir, but I think she's on mute. I've asked her to unmute.
Hello, sir. Yeah, sorry.
Sanjana, please introduction.
So the book starts with the chapter Equity Calling. The book is mainly about policies, administration, and governance in India. It's not just any other book, but 4 decades of knowledge and insights gained by a public servant himself. It's a view of our country through the eyes of Dr. Joshi, who has spent most of his life and career in service to the nation. The book covers a wide range of topics, from laughter is the best medicine to the relevance of Swadeshi in the modern perspective. Yet the author has treated these various topics with innate simplicity that is likely to interest each and every one of the readers who is connected to the present and concerned about the future of India. This book has a heart and soul of its own and brings out the issues faced by a common man in his day-to-day life. The expectation of the author is that the reader will find this book stimulating and largely relatable. He hopes that this book will inspire the readers to ponder upon and attempt to find solutions to the various issues discussed by him. And the chapter Equity Calling, it mentions a line from the Rig Veda: let noble thoughts come from everywhere in the world. He has written that 4 seasons fill the measure of the year. There are 4 seasons in the mind of man, which is said by a famous English poet, John Keats. For a bureaucrat, there are many seasons in the professional life: to wade through the brook and tramp through the snow. With nearly 4 decades of experience of being a public servant, having served the society from village to the international level, and enriched by interactions from the grassroots to the topmost level, I am privileged to somewhat understand nuances of the governance, says Dr. Joshi. While in service, most of the civil servants look like mute spectators to happenings around them. Thus, people often question the very credibility of bureaucracy. The reason is simple. Due to restrictions on the freedom of expression during the service, silence is said to be golden. It is therefore seen that wisdom dawns on a bureaucrat only post-retirement. The same is the case with me, and for that I seek your indulgence. I think now is the time to share my perspectives on a wide range of topics. On some of them, my views may even challenge conventional wisdom. This is done just to facilitate thinking differently. The primary purpose of any administrative structure is to provide an enabling environment leading to ease of living for all citizens. The term EOL encompasses several components, which are meant for improving the overall quality of life of the people. This book is a kaleidoscope of views, thoughts, and random observations on various hues of topics touching people's lives, even impacting it. I am sure my thoughts on various subjects will throw some new insight, kindle debate, and allow fresh approach to deal with issues raised.
Thank you, Sanjana.
Thank you, Sanjana. So now we will have book launch by Shri KTR Garu.
Thank you so much, sir. Seriously, I was amazed at the length and breadth of all the topics that you've covered. पर इतना कम समय में होगी. Very nice.
So now the officially book is launched. So we will listen to impressions from Mr. Vikas Singh, Dr. Vikas Singh.
So every time I used to talk to Dr. Joshi over the last 3-4 years, I would always urge him and request him to pen down his experience of 35 years so that this could be a good toolkit for the bureaucrats. They can learn something from his illustrious experience. So a couple of months back, he called me and he says, Vikas, I'm writing a book. That really got me excited. We spoke about it, and what the book came out was a much bigger and a much more pleasant surprise, because when I read the book, the book talks about several things. It talks about governance, it talks about India, it talks about how the government works, what should be the right way to govern, and things like that. But what is of real interest to me and touched my heart is Dr. Joshi writing something very, very close to his heart, and that's ease of living. Ease of living is something that is a new idea. He's been talking about for the last 7-8 years, and this is something that every bureaucrat, every policymakers, every officer needs to focus on ease of living, because ultimately the government is for the people. This book also is, in my view, a great toolkit for every policymaker and bureaucrat. Other than that, it should be on the table of every young person to know about India, to know about how the government works, to know about his and her right. But more than all that, it's a book that introduces India through several stories. It's not a heavy read. It's not a read that is going to teach you lessons. It will definitely teach you lessons, but more than that, it says things in a very, very simple, lucid manner. And I enjoyed reading this book, and I would suggest and recommend this book to everybody that I meet. Thanks.
Thank you, Vikas Singh ji. And next we will listen from Dr. Krishnamurthy, Chief Economic Advisor of Government of India.
Equity Calling, written by Shailendra Joshi ji, is a fearless chronicle of thoughts and experiences shaped by nearly 4 decades of service as a public servant. Equity Calling is every bit as intriguing as its title suggests. A thought-provoking medley of perspectives on issues as wide-ranging as innovation, mental health, festivals, rivers, and annual financial statements, to just name a select few topics. The book touches upon a breathtaking array of governance issues in India. Dizzyingly diverse, endlessly enlightening, and replete with endearing anecdotes, this book is a must read, and I highly encourage everyone to read it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Dr. Rajesh Singh, Professor of IOA University, we will listen to his impressions.
I've known Shailin Joshi since 1981. It has been a friendship of over 39 years now. We first met at IIT Delhi, spent 2 to 3 years, and then we both joined the Indian Administrative Services. He went to Andhra cadre, I went to UP cadre, and we kept interacting, and I knew right from the beginning that he was a very sensitive and very committed civil servant. And we kept in touch. I came to US and became an academic. I have been an economics professor for the last 18 years. So I have kind of worn both hats, now more of an academic. So I can understand what Shailin has done and what it means to academics. So I'm really privileged to say something about his book, Equity Calling. To me, Equity Calling looks like a surprising collection of musings of a civil servant who actually put his heart and soul into serving the common man. I know that he's a man with a lot of sensitivity, and he has really served to the best of his ability and his commitment. And what surprised me, that he still found time to write, and write on a variety of issues obviously related to what he observed, and very neutral observations. And his reflections span from something like the purpose of governance to executive excesses, and also something which you would wonder how a civil servant gets time to think about, things like mental health and something like laughter is the best medicine. So it's a very rich book of experiences of a civil servant who really worked his soul, put his soul into it to read. So I personally would recommend public policy scholars to read this book, and they will find it extremely kind of illuminating and insightful for particularly people who are interested in knowing civil services in a country like India or South Asia in general. So thank you for listening to my comments, and I have read the book, and I would end up saying again that we all who are interested in public policy, whether administrators or scholars, we must look at this book. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh Singh. So we listen to Mr. Shri Rajiv Kumar.
I congratulate Dr. S.K. Joshi on the launch of his book, Equity Calling. Still waters run deep. That is Dr. Joshi. I have known him for last 36 years as a passionate listener and silent observer of situations around him. Always an engineer's mind is processing for optimal solutions, reaching heights to listen to the echoes of the signals of equity calling was definitely a very well-deserved culmination of his career. And so is the book, reflecting an insider's distilled view of wide ranges and intricate aspects of policy choices across complex web of diversity in the society and optimal allocations thereto. Dr. SKJ's style is unique and unconventional in covering wide range of governance challenges in an ever-changing equilibrium of ideologies, priorities, styles, and challenges of the representative democracy. The citizen-centering approach dealt with a lot of practical wisdom to bring ease of living is very relevant from aspirational Indian society's perspective.
Thank you, sir. And we listen now we listen to Sri Rajeshri Bhattacharya, who was the former Secretary of Education of India.
What drew me to the book? Is it its curious title, conjuring some extraterrestrial expectations? Or is it its unusual chapter organizations, which further drives you to think, what is this book about? Or maybe it's because I've personally known Shailendra for a long time and we work together. Or perhaps it could also be that as I travel through the book to discover a hidden gem in the form of a very intimate portrayal of the narrator by a deep insider. It's for you to discover what the reasons would have been. You may have your own conclusions, but I savor the book, especially the wide range and complexity of issues that it covered, with particular reference to managing imponderable contradictions in the governance of any complex state. Great credit goes.
Thank you, sir. So, Sanjana, could you please read
Yeah,
dialogue?
thank you.
Yes.
So now I would like to read a few excerpts from the book, mainly the chapter on dilemma of bureaucracy. The chapter starts like this with a line: the bureaucracy that is fondly referred to in the print media as Babudam and its members as Babus has many things to do internally and set the house right for staying relevant in the system. The chapter follows: to follow the path of least resistance is a natural phenomenon. Whether it is the flow of electricity or the response of bureaucracy, both of them follow the path of least resistance. It is indeed a difficult call for a Babu to take a stand on a particular issue. The easiest way out is to simply avoid making any recommendations that lead to policy paralysis. The dilemma of bureaucracy is genuine. If one resists political overtures, one is considered as an obstructionist and consigned to the dustbin. And if one doesn't resist, he is most likely to be charged as a conspirator in a case of criminal conspiracy. In such a situation, he should be prepared for a long legal haul, expecting no financial support from the government for contesting the case. One should feel lucky enough and thank God for facing neither of the situations. One is often advised to always work in such a manner, presuming that the issue under consideration may, later on, become a part of an inquiry by 3 Cs, namely the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, Central Vigilance Commission, CVC, and the Comptroller and Auditor General, CAG. In order to work without the fear and favor, some sort of detailed guidelines to be adhered to all agencies need to be issued. Unless rules of the game are made clear by giving necessary support to the bureaucracy, decision-making in India would continue to be impaired. To change the approach of following the path of least resistance, some external force is required. In the human context, that force comes from determination and conviction for a cause. Babudam will do good for the country if all the members take a similar stand on ethical issues and individual Babus don't compromise for petty gains. There are many ways to emasculate the bureaucracy, and the political executive is well aware of their powers. If one is considered inconvenient or not fully aligned with the views of his political masters, most probably he is likely to be transferred and had to wait for a considerable amount of time to get his next assignment. Lucky inconvenient Babu gets a loop line posting reminding him every day the sacrilege committed by him. A more effective and alternative approach to tame the bureaucracy is to intimidate by unleashing various hounds at it. There are no two opinions that the writ of political masters has to run in a democratic system. In this connection, two things, if done, can unshackle the Babudam. Firstly, the masters should own the decision. And secondly, Babus should give their professional opinion in writing in a free and frank manner without being bothered about the likes and dislikes of their political masters. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjana. Now we listen to Sri Padmanabhaya Garu.
This book, Echo T, calling towards citizen-centric administration, is the reminiscences of senior civil servant Dr. S.K. Joshi. I commend this book for various reasons. The main one is Dr. Joshi belongs to a rare breed of civil servants who believed in result-oriented administration and delivering performance and not procedural oriented. The second reason is there are different styles of administration, and he believed in a light touch administration, not breathing down the neck of his subordinates and juniors, but sort of guiding them, mentoring them, and correcting them wherever necessary, and leaving the initiative to them after laying out the task. I think it's a great thing. A third one is his ability to get along well with the political bosses. This is an extremely complex subject, and not many people have been very successful in it without compromising their own sense of values and ethics. I think Dr. Joshi has been successful because, as he said, he stuck to his dharma, what he calls it, and he followed what his conscience has dictated to him, but he did a great job about it. The fourth one is, which is central to the book, is the emphasis on citizen-centric administration. Now, Dr. Joshi says that the very purpose of administration is to provide that the citizens live a sort of satisfying lives. Ease of living for the citizens is what is the ultimate aim of administration. And the fifth one is Dr. Joshi's great sense of humor. It comes through various articles, and I think that also adds to the charm of the book. And I commend this book, and I suggest that every aspiring civil servant, the civil servants who have joined the service, and anyone concerned with governance and administration should read this book. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we listen to Sri K.T. Ramarao.
I've known Sri Shailendra Kumar Joshi, as a bureaucrat, as an individual for the last 6 years. He was always known as a very soft-spoken, but a very strong-willed and a persuasive gentleman, a bureaucrat. And I'm delighted that his book that he's authored, Eco Tea Calling, which focuses on governance in various hues and shades, is a chronicle of all of his experience over the last 37 years of working in the state of United Andhra Pradesh, and then subsequently in the state of Telangana, where he retired as the Chief Secretary and now enjoys the status of a government advisor to the youngest state in India today. Mr. Joshi's book today, in fact, I've had the privilege of also going through a few chapters. I can share it with absolute confidence that he has minced no words when it comes to putting out his thoughts and being very elaborate about a citizen-centric and effective governance. He's named individuals, institutions, and processes, and in that line, in that particular order, of ensuring to deliver better services to citizens. He's also emphasized that governance needs to have a human face, especially when dealing with large-scale irrigation projects, because he also was the Principal Secretary of Irrigation when Telangana government, in fact, has commissioned the world's largest multi-stage lift irrigation project called as the Kaleshwaram, under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Under his leadership as the Chief Secretary, he was also instrumental in helping us achieve a number of objectives on the urban development side and also on the industry and information technology side. His book really elaborates on multiple facets of governance and the challenges. And it provides an insider's view and also juxtaposes, this insider's view also with what people expect. Because one chapter where he said, "Hey, जनता को सब पता है, public को सब कुछ पता है." He elaborates as to what citizens expect of the government and how government, needs to align itself and assert itself when delivering citizen services. Sometimes even when you make choices that may not be very popular. So I congratulate Mr. Shailendra Kumar Joshi on coming out with this wonderful book called Eco-Tea, and then Eco-Tea, and then he also, I also believe that this will serve the upcoming bureaucrats and also, people involved in governance, and also a lot of youngsters who are interested in public policy in a big way. My congratulations, compliments, and all the very best.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So we now listen to Her Excellency Governor of Telangana, Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan.
I congratulate the writer, Dr. Shailendra Kumar Joshi, former Chief Secretary of the State of Telangana, retired IAS officer, for writing an excellent book towards people-centric governance. The topic of the book is Eco-Tea Calling. A lover of books, I take a week to read a book, even a month to read a book. But sometimes at a stretch I read a book. If it is quite interesting and impressive, I read the book at a stretch, even in a single night. This is a book which I read in a single stretch. Not because I have to introduce the book today, because I love the book. If you stand out in life, you should be outstanding in your performance. That's the famous saying. He's standing out in this book because of his outstanding performance and experience during his tenure as an IAS officer. He has covered everything. The first thing I loved in this book is the laughter is the best medicine. Always find a reason to laugh, because that is the medicine. If you are laughing, particularly when we are holding a post like Chief Secretary of a state, the laughter definitely is the best medicine. It can ease out your work. Some of the topics really highlighting the problems of the people as well as the problems of the officer, problems of the government, and it moves towards a better governance. I should say one of the topic which I loved is about the PIL. He says it is not public interest litigation, it is private interest litigation. And he says in the absence of any regulatory mechanism in the judicial system, it will be clogged by such PILs. It's a true statement. And he says, whatever may be the topic he is dealing, his primary interest is environment. His first and last interest is environment. As he says, find a reason for laughing, find a reason to enjoy the environment. So if we enjoy the environment and if we laugh, definitely we can deal whatever may be the difficult job rendered to us. And another topic which I love the most is the people are the masters. Fantastically, he has presented a SMS which he got from his friend, saying that if a person is caught without a helmet, he is fined 1,000 rupees. If he is caught without a light in his bicycle, he is fined 1,000 rupees. If he is caught crossing the road, the yellow line, he is fined 1,000 rupees. But if we travel in a road, bumpy road, nobody takes the responsibility. If there is any street lights, nobody is taking the responsibilities. Who should be charged for that? So he says, particularly, he says the word saying that this is a message which I received from a friend, and the word which he mentioned about himself is really laudable. He says, as a self-respecting public servant, he was left speechless after receiving this SMS. So it clearly pinpoints the responsibility of the government. And I should say, what all the topics, he says about mental health. Mental health is more important than the physical health. As a doctor, I can endorse his views. So many, whatever may be the topics he has taken, and he is talking about Swadeshi. Swadeshi played a very important role during our freedom fight, and now Swadeshi is playing a very important role in our fight against Corona. So these are golden words which he has mentioned. Finally, I cannot totally tell whatever I read in this book, because these are some of the precious golden points which I appreciated during my learning. And finally, I love the word which he mentioned about youth. I strongly endorse that use. Youth, hope of the nation. You cannot take away my youth. The soul of mine will never break. You cannot take away my youth. The soul of mine will never break. As long as I wake up today, you cannot take away my youth. I think even today, he is looking as a young officer in spite of his retirement because of his mental stature, appreciating the youth, I believe. And I appreciate his acknowledgement. He has thanked the Honorable Chief Minister of Telangana, with whom he worked, and he has acknowledged his gratitude to the former governor of Telangana, with whom he worked. And the most thing which I like, the same way he has acknowledged the Chief Minister and the governor, former governor, he has acknowledged his love and the work of his wife Anuradha and his daughter. So, unless we appreciate the family, others won't appreciate us. That is the famous wording. So, whatever may be, each and every word is quite interesting and impressive. Finally, he is telling why he chose the topic of this book as Echo Tea Calling. It is the call sign used for announcing the movement of the top bureaucrats in the state of Telangana. So often hearing this code, he was motivated to give the topic of his book as Echo Tea Calling. I should appreciate that as a doctor. If I am asked to write a book on emergency, definitely I will coin the name as Blue Code. So that way he has endorsed this code itself says how he was involved in his work during his tenure. So whatever may be, really I enjoyed this book. Not only mere words, I am appreciating it. It was quite impressive and interesting. I appeal each and everyone to buy the book and read. A famous saying says, You are not buying a book. The price which you are paying for the book is only for the paper. You cannot assess the value of the words and the experience in that book. So you pay some money and buy the book because it's enormous knowledge you can gain on governance by reading this book. Once again, I congratulate Shailendra Joshi, brother Shailendra Joshi, for penning this book, Echo Tea Calling, and I congratulate him. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for the wonderful review. So, Sanjana, could you please read out the Laughter is Best?
So this chapter, Laughter is the Best Medicine, has been mentioned here quite a few times, and I take this pleasure to go through it. It is said that a person who laughs heartily stays away from various illnesses. A good hearty laugh relieves tension and decreases stress hormones. Laughter emits several mood-enhancing hormones and is said to boost the immune system, thus improving resistance to various diseases. It draws people together in ways that trigger healthy physical and emotional changes in the body. The people who are able to laugh in real life are blessed. Instead of laughing at others, as others may not relish to being the butt of jokes, it is better to laugh at oneself. Even laughing artificially has therapeutic benefits. In order to remind the people about one of the best gifts available to mankind, every year World Laughter Day is celebrated on the first Sunday of May month, spreading awareness about its benefits. I was lucky to participate in the World Laughter Day program organized on 5th May 2019 at the Public Garden, Hyderabad. I am told and believe so that laughter is the best medicine. Many laughter clubs are functioning in and around Hyderabad. The multi-religion and multi-linguist members come every day in the morning for a heartful laughter that benefits everyone. The best part is that laughter is still untaxed. So enjoy it free along with your friends and family until some babu or politician comes up with an idea to tax it as a resource augmentation proposal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjana. So, sir, could you please give your remarks?
Am I visible?
Yes, sir, you are very much visible.
Okay. This thought of writing a book never crossed my mind. However, around October of last year, I thought I must share my thoughts for posterity, whatever work they may be. At the outset, I thank all my bureaucratic bosses and political masters. Since the very first posting, I have learned from each one of them, and I am grateful to them, all of them. Especially after formation of Telangana, Honorable Chief Minister, the kind of projects he initiated, the kind of confidence he imposed, and former governor and present governor, I am really grateful for her so generous comments. I don't know whether I really deserve them or not, but I am thankful to entire Council of Ministers and our young Minister for Urban Development, IT and Industries, K.T. Ramarao Saab, who also was kind enough to introduce this book. Now, everything in this book is unconventional. Honorable Governor has disclosed from title to chapterization to time of release. Many of my well-wishers said, why do you release this book? This is a very depressing time. So I said, this is the time which should change the mindset of the people. When things are depressing, we should get something which changes their mood. And secondly, it will display indomitable human spirit. A number of references are there in my book where people, despite their odds, heavy odds against them, they face the challenges in life, and that's the end of it. I would like whatever proceeds come from this book, I will donate. to a charitable organization. I have something in mind, but I don't disclose it right now. So I appreciate the readers and everybody, and I'm thankful to all of you for sharing this moment with me.
So, good evening, everyone. I sincerely thank Honorable Chief Guests, other dignitaries, and other guests for attending the virtual book launch of Eco-Tea Calling. My special thanks to Shailendra Joshi Garu for giving me an opportunity to publish his first book, and I'm really honored to be the publisher of this excellent title. Even I didn't get it first time what it was. It took me time to go in and understand it, probably continuous revisions, and then there are certain times sir has to explain me because I'm not a public servant. So there, I never know that that kind of world exists. The other side, when I was reading, it is quite intriguing and thought-provoking for me as well. With my publishing and distributing experience of 300,000 titles that I've done globally, I haven't come across any title that has such a diversity of topics. Usually, by nowadays you look at the title of the book and you understand 50 to 60% of what it is, but this is very different. I'm really happy to be part of it. And working on this book is a truly amazing experience for me. And I would like to thank all the contributors of the book. Srimati Riya Joshi for the stunning cover. Whatever the cover you see is done by Srimati Riya Joshi. She is Sir's daughter. And Sri Deborah Rani and Sri Shashidhar Pathuri for the graphics, and Murray Naresh who have done some of the illustrations, who has helped me bringing this book to market. I thank all of the guests for taking their time in attending the event and the online event. It is still very live. I was actually nervous how it will be, but it was really live. Thanks a lot for everyone. And you can see on the screen, if you want to place the orders, you can fill the form. I'm going to actually give this link in the chat window now. And apart from that, this is my email address. If you want to note down, and my phone number, you can always reach me, because we all know that during the COVID scenario, COVID situations, deliveries are affected, publishing is affected, books are affected. So, but we have made our best attempts to make sure that the book can reach you on time. So kindly, the books are available on Amazon. They are taking their own time because of deliveries. But if you need any assistance, if you want any bulk purchase of books, kindly contact me. So my phone number is 75694333300, and my email address is there. Please feel free to contact me. I'm going to send you the link in the chat. Thank you.
Dabgaru, you forgot about the co-author of the book. One chapter written by my wife.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes,
His
sir.
journey through my eyes.
Yes,
And
yes.
that is really
Yeah.
worth reading.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much, all of you. I really grateful to all of you. Thank you.
All the very best.
Thank you. I'll be giving the link in the chat for anybody who wants to fill the form, so that I'll get in touch with them. Okay, so here is the link for the book for you to place the order. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Pratap Garu. Thank you, Sanjana.
Thank you,
you,
Sanjana.
Harini. Thank you.
Bye bye.